now, out of every 4 humans, only 1 is real. You know, clones don't walk around with horns on their heads and tails sticking out of their ears. They look like us. We are at critical mass.
The fact of the matter is, if you're committed to a cult, you're committed until you leave.
My name's Steve. I am Barbara's husband.
Barbara Rogers says her boyfriend asked her to kill him because he had gotten threats from an online cult.
In a world that doesn't make sense, where your faith just doesn't hold up anymore, Sherry Shriner is your one-stop shop for what the truth is.
I don't know the whole story. I don't know if I even want to.
There is a clear pattern that this is something that happens.
This went down because Sherry Shriner.
I was at my sister's house when Mr. Pengilly called me, and he told me that Kelly had killed herself.
Everybody turns, wounded shark-like, on the person that they've decided they're going to rip to pieces.
There was so much sickness, like mental health problems in this.
Sherry Shriner is a predator. And like the epitome of evil.
Father wanted to be mentioned tonight. It's going to be a war against real humans versus the fakes. Demons and alien entities, they're like parasites. They get a foothold in humans, and they start to grow until they totally take them over. It's like a cancer taking over mankind. The war is on for total assimilation. Anyway, be back next week, folks. Until then.
My name is Lucas Bray, and I was the on-call detective during the week that this case came in. I was asleep, and I was awoken by one of our patrolmen. So I called my partner in this case, Detective John Borman. He's a 25-year veteran of this police department.
So I got the call at home. I was asleep. I actually live fairly close to the address where this incident had happened. I got in my car and I responded. I met Detective Bray at a gas station about 500 yards from the scene. We had received a copy of the 911 tape and we had listened to it.
Nightmare, please.
Calm down. What is your name?
My name is Barbara Rogers.
It's very unusual.
Barbara, where did you get shot?
Oh my God.
Was it in the face?
No, I think it was in the...
In the torso?
No, in his head, his forehead.
It almost seemed like she made herself upset at certain points to get the attention of the call taker.
Okay, where's the gun right now?
I don't know. I dropped it. I don't know where it is. I don't even want to see it. Oh my God.
Okay, and how long did this happen?
20 minutes ago.
Okay, it happened 20 minutes ago?
Yes.
It was unclear by her statements on whether he killed himself, she killed him, or she was implying that he helped her kill him. Like there was a lot of stuff going on at that point.
She was saying the gun went off by accident as she was trying to describe what happened to the 911 operator.
He grabbed the gun. He stuck it in my hand. He goes, "Take this and pull it." I'm like, "Okay, I don't want to." And I pulled it on accident, but it's because he had his hand around it, and he squeezed it. And I just dropped
He
it.
had it pointed at himself?
Yes.
John listened to it, and he had very similar concerns that I did. It just didn't seem right, and there was things that we needed to investigate.
No more tears, no more tears.
I don't think the Poconos has changed much since 1972. It's a resort, it's a family resort area, but it doesn't have like an industry beyond tourism. I don't want to call it low rent because it's not, but it's got that weird vibe that it's like a secondary place. Hi, my name's Tony Russo. I'm a journalist and author. I'm working on a book. It's about Cherry Schreiner and all of the horrible things that happened around her. At the end of the day, I just want to make sure that I get to tell people's stories and not just important people's stories. As a matter of fact, specifically not important people's stories. I first heard about Barbara Rogers and Stephen Mineo in 2019. My initial reaction was, oh, look, crazy people. And then I started looking into it, and there were just more and more layers to be uncovered. And it took me all the way, to Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania. And when I came into town, it's a very depressed town. Just not tidy in the way you think of these picturesque little mountain towns. The Poconos are mostly renters, mostly renting. People like Stephen and Barbara.
So we went to the scene. Barbara Rogers was already in the back of a police car, and we went in and inspected the scene. It was a small house, and Barbara and Stephen rented a room not much bigger than this office space, very small. And you had to go around the house to get to that doorway. You wouldn't even know this apartment was there.
It was one room that was kind of doubled as a kitchen / living room, and then there was a bathroom and a closet. It wasn't very big at all. There was a bed in that room, and Stephen was laying on the floor in front of that bed, and he had a bullet hole in his head.
It didn't appear there were any signs of struggle or that she had done anything with the body or any movement, anything like that.
So I walked up to the car, I introduced myself to Barbara Rogers, and I asked her if she could come back to the station and talk to me about what happened. There may not even be a crime, but it was obviously a case that had to be investigated further. Okay, again, Barbara, my name is John Borman. I'm one of the detectives here. Barbara, this is a tape record. It tape records our voice. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. I know you went through a traumatic event tonight, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. You're not under arrest. So after examining the scene, listening to the 911 tape, I had an open mind about what had happened. I immediately went into the interview room and started talking with Barbara. Can you tell me exactly what happened tonight?
Tonight? Yes. Okay, it all started. I know that we were on Facebook, and I think this might have been what triggered it. He saw a bunch of bad comments from somebody named Marion, putting that, that I'm a witch and a reptile. And I think when he saw it, he got really angry, and he commented like a whole bunch of comments. And I could tell him, look, just forget the whole thing. Don't worry about it. And afterwards, I don't know. After that, I think that might have been what triggered him to be this way. But then he's like, come on, let's go to the bar and, have a little bit of fun. And he seemed normal. We had like 1 or 2 drinks and everything was well. Okay, and then when we came home, he goes, I need to practice shooting my gun. Come walk with me into the woods. So he took his gun, he grabbed it, he loaded it, he walked into the woods, he fired a few rounds. He goes, do you want to fire one? And I'm like, no, that's okay. So then, we walked back into the house. All of a sudden, he took the gun and started putting it into my hand. He goes, here, take it, point it at me. Point it. He just starts grabbing it, saying, he put it in my hand, and he goes, point it at me and shoot it right now. That's when it went off, right there. And the thing is, ever since he, there's a woman named Sherry Shriner, and, he used to be close friends with her, and he used to follow her. He was really good friends with her. She runs a religious cult, some type of weird religious cult. And she's on Facebook, and she talks about, like, aliens and stuff.
Are either one of you two in a cult?
Not anymore. See, we were both friends with her, but then one day out of the blue, she just turned on us, When me and him got together, she started turning on both of us.
What cult? Is there a name for that cult?
No, they call themselves Oregon Warriors.
Oregon?
Oregon Warriors, yes.
Like the state Oregon? Or
Not Oregon, Orgone.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Shriner. The people of this nation don't know who their enemies are. And they've taught Christians to be soft on evil and to never stand up against it. I'm not afraid to stand up against evil and wicked because you know what? I'd rather die fighting for what's right than have to live with what's wrong. If I were you, I would be loading up on guns and ammo, and it is your right as a believer in the Most High to defend yourself against these wicked, evil, Satanist, murderous thugs who want to kill you and your family. So this old age war coming to an end, folks. A lot of death coming, folks. Are you ready to die?
A Florida woman will face a trial on charges she murdered her boyfriend last month in Monroe County.
A murder in the American heartland is only the beginning. An unbelievable tale of cults, conspiracies, and lizard people. The Devil You Know premieres Monday at 10. Part of Investigation Night on Vice.
Get the fuck out. That's the house. Oh, shit. It's just weird because I feel like I'm connecting to like 2017 when like I heard the news. I saw like all the video with the state troopers out front and stuff like that. It's kind of weird to be here in person. It's just weird. Honestly, in a million years, I wouldn't think Steve would have gotten shot and killed the way he did. And it's just so weird that he lived here. That's where him and Barbara hung out, and for him to not be here anymore, just the absence of him is just so strange to me. I'm glad I actually came here, man. Just to see the house, because he asked me so many times to come out to the Poconos, and I always thought like, in a couple months I'll come out here, but I never got around to it, and then he got fucking killed 3 months later. I'm Charles Benincasa. I was good friends with Steve for several years. Steve and me both had similar interests in firearms. We also had similar interest in conspiracy theories, and we also had an affinity for YouTube and putting stuff up. Steve had a following on YouTube. Hi YouTube, this is Steve. He's well known in the conspiracy theory world. You know, some of his videos have over 100,000 views. Now Steve right now at the moment, he's unemployed. Yeah, it sounds bad, but you know what? No, listen, unemployment's bad, right?
Yeah, and that 0 jobs were created in August.
I met Steve in 2010. He, for the most part, was always unemployed, and he would go through people's trash and find like TVs, computers, and he would fix them up and then sell them on Craigslist, and that's the way he would support himself. I mean, Steve always talked about like going to the mountains. You know, he really romanticized about it. You know, growing up in Jersey and New York, you know, there's a certain tempo. You know, the people are different, and I think for a lot of people, Pennsylvania is an escape. I personally feel like it attracts a lot of weirdos, you know, a lot of misfits, the people that couldn't make it in Jersey and New York, you know, like Pennsylvania is your next best option. The way he painted it was that he was really happy out here, you know. I swear, if Steve never met that girl, man, he'd still be alive. He'd be in North Arlington, calling me up about his crazy conspiracy theories, and he'd still be alive, man. He'd still be alive.
Ties to a cult may have led to a fatal shooting in Monroe County. A woman is now in custody for shooting her boyfriend in the head.
Police say 42-year-old Barbara Rogers called 911, claiming she shot her boyfriend, 32-year-old Stephen Mineo, and he was dead. Rogers told police she and Mineo were members of a cult centered on aliens and raptures, headed by a woman named Sherry Shriner.
Well, Sherry Shriner started off on Blog Talk Radio. I know that Sherry Shriner hated being called a cult, but she also really liked it.
I'm not a cult, and I'm not a cult leader. I'm just a poor woman who lives in the backwoods of Ohio. I just love the Lord, that's it. I'm trying to save mankind, kill off the aliens and the evil, wicked things on this planet.
The question for me became, what about Sherry is worth following? Why does anyone care what Sherry Shriner says?
Okay, here we go, guys. In today's show, Wendy Williams' clone malfunctions. Everybody you see on TV is a fake or some kind of shapeshifter.
And there's several Justin Biebers, folks. He literally had a demon that was brought up and put in Justin when he was a child. The doubles they use of him have been seen shape-shifting into reptiles.
I think the most important thing is to deal with the reptilians. I think once you kind of understand the reptilians, the rest comes a little bit easier. I mean, it's really very, early 1980s alien movie kind of stuff.
While the new government of the world is being established, America becomes slaves to it. I'm not talking about humans. I'm talking about the reptilians. Get what the New World Order is, folks? It's aliens dominating and controlling the Earth and putting humans into complete and total subject slavery to them.
The New World Order is a broad way that people describe the vast conspiracy to control us. There are a group of people who want complete domination over the world. And those people run the banks, the governments. They run everything, right? In Sherry Shriner's case, what's important is that the devil is behind the New World Order. They're taking their orders from him, from the devil.
I understand that this was an accident, but I need you to be as specific as you can because we have to compare the scene to what you're telling us.
Well, he took his gun. He just starts putting it in my hand, and he's pointing it at his direction. He placed it in there, and he pointed at himself, and goes, "Here, shoot it right now," and it just went off.
So where was he when he was saying that?
In our house, right
Oh, where
there.
in the house? On the bed?
We were beside the bed. We were standing there.
Standing up?
Yeah, we were standing up.
Standing by the bed. Did it go off by accident or?
It went off on accident. I was actually trying to let go, He was telling me, I want you to point this,
How far would you say the gun was from him when it went off?
Maybe this far?
Was it? Okay. So the gun from his forehead was about that far?
Yes.
So the gun was a Glock 45. The gun was laying next to him approximately maybe 5 feet away. It appeared to me to have been placed on the floor as opposed to falling on the floor from a suicide or being thrown from the floor. It appeared as if it was laid down on the floor. Okay, so when the gun went off, try to think of where his hands were.
They could have been off of it, but I know that we both had it on there at the same time. I think he kind of pushed me away. He did push me away. But I could tell now it was accidental.
I could tell by looking at the forehead. The wound had a star-shaped pattern to the forehead, which is typical of a very, very close contact wound. The body, the way it was positioned, it appeared to be that Stephen had been sitting on the floor when the gun went off. Are you sure he was standing? Because you sure you guys weren't sitting on the floor? Or he wasn't sitting on the floor?
None of us were on the floor. We were both standing.
We're sitting on the bed?
No, we were not sitting on the bed.
Both standing.
Mm-hmm.
When Barbara told me that she and Stephen were both standing when the gun went off, it was probably the first indicator that something wasn't completely truthful here in this story. That was not consistent with what I had seen from the scene. It was almost sure to me that he had been sitting on the floor when the gun went off. I'm going to step outside for a minute.
Once you've done it the first time, it becomes easier each time.
The price they paid.
Either I make a move, or he's gonna do something to me.
How we got this far.
Don't you know who Sherry really is?
I don't know the whole story. I don't know if I even want to.
If you only knew. Investigation Night, Mondays at 8 on Vice.
One of the things that struck me the first time I heard it, it's just clear that she's not all there. And I mean, I don't blame her. I've never seen anyone's blood. I've never seen anyone get shot in the head by me before. But I would imagine it's disorienting. So, she gave the wrong address. Like, she's all over the place from the get-go. We've got a woman who shot somebody in the head and has no blood on her. And we've got a 20-minute lag time between her shot as she tells it, and the time that she calls the police. Of course, it wasn't 20 minutes. It was 20 seconds. I mean, maybe, as she said, maybe I sat there crying for a little while, but I can't imagine what that stress is like. An out-of-place dead body is disorienting enough, let alone one that was alive and then dead, and she was there for the transition, and it snapped something in her. She's just not really in touch with what's going on anymore. I think her memory got broken when she shot Stephen.
At some point during the interview, Detective Bray came in. Sometimes a different interviewer will spark a different response. Like I said before, I think you're a good person, but there's more to this that you're still not telling me. It's not matching with what's over there. Not matching with what's at the scene. Okay, so part of what we found over the scene is that he wasn't standing when you pulled the trigger. He was sitting on the floor next to the bed.
Sitting on the floor.
It looks like he was sitting on the floor with his back against the bed.
No, he wasn't. I'm confused. He was not on the bed. He was clearly standing.
Okay. It looks to me like you did this on purpose.
No, I promise.
And on purpose doesn't mean that like you thought about this in the morning and you thought this is going to happen, but it was just a spur of the moment thing. You were mad, you did this, and now you're sorry about it. Is that possible?
I don't know. I remember him standing up. He placed the gun in my hand.
That doesn't match. My experience is when someone lies about small details, sometimes they're lying about large details too. Sometimes somebody can make an honest mistake also. It's possible that she could have made a mistake like that because this is a traumatic event. He's sitting on the ground, you put it right against his head, you pull the trigger. That's what matters.
Sitting on the ground?
Yes. And I understand why your mind is trying to change it, but in reality, you know what happened. And now, like, if you want me to believe you're sorry about this, you have to tell the exact facts. Right? You did this on purpose.
I would never shoot him on purpose, but now I think it's possible he could have been sitting on the ground, everything just happened so fast.
See how many times you've changed the story already with me now? Like, it's easier to tell it right the first time than to change it a couple times. As the inconsistencies mount, as there's more and more of them, then it makes me believe more and more that she's lying completely. So he's sitting on the ground, right? Now you remember that?
I think it's possible, but I don't know. I remembered him standing, but it's possible that he.
It wasn't an accident. I'm not saying you wanted to do it, but it wasn't an accident. You did it on purpose, right?
Well, I didn't mean to do it on purpose.
I'm not saying you meant to. I'm not saying what you meant to do. I'm just saying what actually happened. And that is you put it in his head and you pulled the trigger on purpose. Right?
You've never seen Dark Side of the Ring.
I could cry right now.
Like this.
This might be some of the last footage of Animal that's been filmed.
An all-new deep dive into the most explosive episodes with the show's creators, with never-before-seen moments, unanswered questions, and secrets uncovered.
There's people who don't want us to tell this story.
As they say in the wrestling business, that was such good.
Dark Side of the Ring Confidential. New episode Tuesday at 9 on Vice.
Only a couple of days after Stephen died, Sherry went online to tell everyone that God had spoken with her and had revealed what really happened in the room that night. And it's weird.
And hello everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. And I got the shoes knocked out of your feet Saturday, didn't you, huh? The news of Barb Rogers killing Steve Mineo. I know exactly what happened that night, and I'm going to talk about it tonight. Steve was in the Oregon, hanging out with the Oregon Warriors. It's kind of a mother tool. And so we had a pretty good relationship over the years, but then he met Barb. I started looking more and more at this Barbara Rogers, and the father revealed to me this vampire demon she had. They were both in bed, and she was looking on her phone, and they were watching the Resident Evil series, and she saw blood, and she got all excited. She just, blood, and her face contorted, and that demon started manifesting in her. And Steve looked over, and he saw it, and it terrified him. He basically screamed, "Who the F you are you?" And then he yelled, "Sherry was right about you. I should have listened." And it threw her in a rage. He screamed, he yelled, and he started to run to get away from her. And that thing at this point, because it was no longer her, knocked him down. And she ran and got her gun. I think she shot him in the leg because I see him running and then fall. And then when he was on the floor, she walked up to him and he was begging for his life. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to die. She put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger.
According to Barbara, Stephen and Barbara met online through the Sherry Shriner group. It's not uncommon. Someone sees something they like, somebody thinks somebody's cute, they make a comment, and then they go from there.
I remember him telling me that, he got a girlfriend, which was a shock to me because the many conversations Steve would have usually scared people away. And I think in a lot of ways, it hurt his ability to form relationships.
I make something called orgone. I have a belief that it does certain things. It's harmless. If you're human, it won't hurt you. This is what orgone is. It's like a paperweight. There's not a bomb. There's nothing harmful about this.
One of the things his mother told me was that he was very, very shy around girls. When a mother says that, I feel like it's kind of a code for he didn't know how to talk to girls and he didn't go out a lot.
When he got with Barbara, I was very shocked, and I almost felt like, well, if he's with Barbara, there's got to be more to the story because a normal person wouldn't get into a relationship with Steve. I felt that there has to be an agenda. And I remember seeing the pictures of her, and I remember him telling me he's the happiest he's ever been. And I remember just looking at her pictures and finding it very odd. I think it was the darkening of the eyes, the long face, very emotionless. The photos, it didn't sit right with me. And I was like, she looks like a witch. That was my first take. She looks evil. A buddy of mine who's not a conspiracy theorist, okay, and I find him to be a fairly logical person, also said she looks like a witch. And I'm like, yeah, there's something off. But in a way, I was happy for Steve. That somebody has similar views to him and somebody can relate to him. So I was happy for him. But I always knew in the back of my head that something was amiss. It was Steve's first serious relationship. And a lot of people know how that is when you get into your first serious relationship, how powerful that is. And I just remember thinking to myself, I hope Steve's okay. I hope she's not going to rob him. My thoughts were if she was going to kill him, maybe Steve has something that she wants, and she's going to use him to get something out of him. That's my opinion.
How far away from him were you when you shot him?
I don't know. It could have been this far.
The gun was probably touching his head.
I would imagine the gun was almost touching his forehead if it was not pressed against his forehead.
I think it was pressed against his forehead. I think he pulled it on purpose. In fact, I know that he pulled it on purpose. I don't think that you were planning this, but I think that's exactly what happened, correct?
It might, yes, that could be right.
Why is the gun on his forehead? Could things have happened? Could he have put it on his forehead and she was trying to get it away and then an accident happened? Yes, there's always a possibility that there could have been an accident, but she never. That's why a lot of this investigation was on her. She needed to tell us what happened. He might have given you the gun because he was mad, but he didn't ask you to shoot him.
Is that what she said first, that he asked her?
That's what she had said that originally, but she changed that.
Can you clear that up for me, just so I understand? At first you said he wanted you to shoot him.
Yeah, I did say that. I think he did say something like that. He said, "Here, I want you to." He just put my hand. He put it there, and he said, "Here, I want you to shoot this gun." I think from there it did accidentally go off when he put it in my hand. I didn't think it was going to hit him.
Part of the investigation with Barbara and some of what she initially purported was that he had to show her how to shoot this gun, and it was an accident, went off by accident. She had military training in firearms. She would know how to shoot a gun.
Could you stand up and show me what you mean? Because it'll help me. So if, we'll say this wall is the edge of the bed, where is he and where are you?
I guess he would have been here, and then I would have been here. You know, he handed me the gun. He said, point it, and I think the second I did that, yeah, I shot it and went off.
Okay. So you're holding it down here. That means he was sitting. You remember now that he was sitting on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember if he was sitting against that wall, like that wall was the bed, how close would you have been to him?
I think I was a little bit closer to him. I could have been like maybe right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so show me with your hands how you would have been holding the gun.
He put it in my hand, and then I went like that.
So where would his head have been at this point? About here, or right next to it? Because I want you to remember. It seems like you're remembering now what happened.
Yeah.
So you show me.
I would think it was right here.
So right next to his head, like if your finger, make your finger the barrel of the gun.
Yeah.
Show me with where his head would be.
His head would be like around here. Yeah, right here.
Okay, so you put the gun right up to his head.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then pulled the trigger, right?
Yeah.
So that was good enough for me at that point. I went back to doing what I was doing, and John continued the interview a little bit more.
At this point, we're going to be charging him with criminal homicide. A lot of what you're telling me is a lie, and I know that. So, kind of, this is your last chance to tell me.
I don't know. What should I say?
The truth.
Here in Minneapolis, they set an 8 p.m. curfew. They don't give a damn about a curfew. I'm pressed. What do you want us to do?
You're really worried this will be used for voter fraud. They don't want us to vote.
Vice News Tonight, Monday to Thursday at 11 on Vice.
My name is Jeff Monzo. I was one of the attorneys that represented Barbara Rogers.
And I'm Dick Galloway, and I was the other defense counsel in the defense of Barbara Rogers.
My first impression of Barbara was that she was scared. She was a little bit confused and certainly sad by what had happened. She explained her experience with the police to us. She explained the background with Stephen and Sherry Shriner. And I remember being very struck by her innocence.
When Barbara was interviewed, but she was interviewed for 6.5 hours, and this is a person who has a mental health issue. She hadn't slept in, I don't know what, better than a day. And you see the mental health problem she has when you watch that, because she sort of is trying to figure out what really happened, because obviously this is a terribly traumatic event for her. And her story, you know, her version of it wanders around a little bit, but they're telling her, in essence, they don't believe her, they're questioning her, and she begins, it seems to me, to be questioning herself. And that's what happens in interrogation.
Well, she was under constant video and audio recording the whole time she was there. They would leave for periods of time. You could see her. She'd say things like, "I'm really cold. I'm really tired."
He put it in my hand. He was sitting there. He put it in my hand, and when I grabbed it, it just went off. I just went to lay down and get some rest. I'm just tired. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I don't know what to say.
Detective Bray and Detective Borman didn't like what they were hearing. She told them 24 times that this was an accident, and they simply refused to believe it. And that interrogation wasn't going to stop until she gave them some, at least, inconsistencies to doubt the credibility that it was an accident, in my opinion. I believe that if in fact she changed her story, that it was to satisfy them, who were searching for their version of events, and importantly searching for a motive that they never, after 7 hours of interrogation, got.
I do believe that she purposely pulled the trigger. I don't know if she realized that that would kill him or not, but I believe she purposely pulled the trigger. I don't believe that it was an accident. I don't believe that Stephen pulled it and shot himself.
We are confident at that point that we have the right person, and she murdered Stephen. We were comfortable with charging her and that she's the one that did it.
Like, we never really established a motive. Not that we need to establish a motive, but I don't think that there was anyone else involved.
I think the police saw it as an open and shut case, and I think it may have affected the way that they proceeded. I don't want to say for a second that they weren't taking it seriously, but it's clear. They want to solve the crime, but they don't want to understand. They don't need to understand it.
A Florida woman will face a trial on charges she murdered her boyfriend last month in Monroe County.
A murder in the American heartland is only the beginning. An unbelievable tale of cults, conspiracies, and lizard people. The devil you know.
Saw it as an open and shut case, and I think it may have affected the way that they proceeded. I don't want to say for a second that they weren't taking it seriously, but it's clear. They want to solve the crime, but they don't want to understand. They don't need to understand it.
A Florida woman will face a trial on charges she murdered her boyfriend last month in Monroe County.
A murder in the American heartland is only the beginning. An unbelievable tale of cults, conspiracies, and lizard people. The devil you know premieres Monday at 10. Part of Investigation Night on Vice.
The police didn't have a motive. Barbara didn't really provide them with one. Couldn't provide them with one. The best that they could do was that Stephen was angry and wanted to die because he got kicked out of that cult.
Barbara, is there anything you'd like to say? Did you kill Stephen? Did a cult have anything to do with this?
According to court paperwork, Rogers changed her story multiple times and kept contradicting herself. First, she claimed the victim asked her if she wanted to learn to shoot a gun and had her put the gun on his forehead and pull the trigger. Then she said she shot the victim standing up from a distance away. And finally, she said the victim wanted her to kill him and was undergoing a lot of stress due to problems with a cult.
And hello, everybody. I'm Sherry Schreiner. So this appears to be like clone number 4 of Barb Rogers that I know of. Clearly you can see she's morphing, she's synthetic. Look at the palms, folks. Look at the palm of her hands from wrist. Look at her wrist. Her face is melting. It's very blurry. Her hand morphs in and out in all of her pictures. Look at her pinky. This is the first thing I noticed. And then look at the length of this palm of her hand. Now this clearly is a 42-year-old woman, but it's not the one that was dating Steve Mineo. Much older looking woman. Look at these pictures. Look at the contrast. These are the ones she had with Steven online. These are her mug shots when she was arrested. 2 different people, folks. This is earlier this year with Steve. This is the mugshot after she was arrested. I mean, come on, folks. These are two different people. The one dating Steve, the one arrested. What's going on here? Total psyop, folks. Total psyop. Subscribe to my channel, folks. Become a patron. Become a supporter of my ministry. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Oh, please show up. I'm so sorry. I need to fight. He's dead. Oh, God, I begged him to wake up. He wouldn't. I'm so scared. Please. When I outed Barbara for what she was, a vampire witch super soldier, it made her have to work harder to maintain her image as a Christian girl, because that's what Steve thought she was. And how do you...
This is what's happening right now. If they were to listen to me over the years, they don't understand truth divides. Okay?
Imagine what that woman is gonna think. I can't believe you had told me that if he ever died, he would come back and be a guardian angel for me. Oh, Stephen, are you here with me right now?
I don't think Stephen Mineo's fate was sealed when he met Barbara Rogers. There are plenty of scenarios where Barbara doesn't kill Stephen, but I don't think there are very many scenarios where Sherry Shriner doesn't betray Stephen Mineo and drive him to the edge.
It must have hurt him very badly. The things I was trying to tell him about her, that she was sent. Just said he'd someone kill him. The Black Widow. Couldn't believe it. And he turned around and he became so hateful.
I felt like killing myself over this. I felt like killing myself because of her.
Hello?